Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm 15 and I have scoliosis.
Scoliosis can be idiopathic or congenital form of curvature of your back. So instead of being straight, your back makes an S curve or a C curve depending on the type of scoliosis.
Idiopathic, relating to or denotating any disease or condition that arises spontaneously for which the cause is unknown. It can happen to anyone at any time.
How long have you been diagnosed?
I think I've had it as a baby. I think my mom noticed it as a baby and she went to the doctors and they just said, don't worry about it. But yeah, so I guess I had it as a baby.
I would probably say I see maybe 5% of my patients that have a problem, and we always start at 11. So at 11-year checkup, they come in for either a sports physical or a well visit. We have them do the classic bend over and touch your toes to take a look at the spine. So we always start at 11 and then every year after that.
My little sister, who's 12, actually has scoliosis, but hers is not as bad as mine. I think hers is like a 5 degrees. So hopefully hers doesn't get as bad as mine.
Symptoms include an asymmetrical chest shape, a curve in the spine, back pain, tingling or numbness in the legs, fatigue, and breathing problems. There are 3 types of complications, starting with cardiac, the mitral valve prolapse. It is not certain if the pressure from the curve causes it or if the valve developed abnormally due to a single growth problem. The next is respiratory, which is shortness of breath, due to the lack of room for the lungs to expand because of the spine's curvature. And the last one is neurological, the spinal cord injury, caused by pressure on the spinal cord and can lead to lack of sensation, disrupted movement, and misinterpreted sensation.
Have your symptoms gotten any worse since you first were diagnosed?
Oh yeah, they've gotten a lot worse. A few years ago, I was at 36 degrees, and recently when I got it checked, they said it was at 40 degrees, which is pretty bad, so it's got worse.
Maddie currently has a 40-degree angle in her spine and has to reach a 45-degree angle to be a candidate for surgery.
And what makes a patient a candidate for the surgery?
Definitely rapid progression, which I can't define how many percent or degrees it changes, but usually if they're in a degree curve of 25 to 30 or more, they will be a candidate for the surgery. Now, if they're a girl and they're done growing, they may not be a candidate because we know they're not going to change after that point. So it has a lot to do with how old and how much they've developed. But usually the high 20s and 30s, they're getting close to being a candidate. In the 20s, they get a brace usually to keep them nice and straight, but above the 30s, they usually will put a rod in the back.
During the surgery, the surgeon will remove each of the vertebrae's facet joints. This allows the surgeon to get a better view of what he is looking at to see where to put each individual screw. The surgeon will then place pedicle screws into each side of the vertebrae. Once the screws are tightly within each vertebrae, the doctor will feed a metal rod on each side of the spine. The surgeon will then tighten each screw, and by doing so, he will straighten out the spine slowly. The surgeon will then perform a fusion by taking many parts of the spine and combining them so that the spine stays together so the scoliosis no longer returns. Many times, the surgeon will also have to perform a thoracoplasty. This is the removal of the ribs since the curvature of the spine has misshapen them and caused a rib bump. Barring any complications, the patient should be able to heal within a few weeks and should no longer have to wear a brace. This should relieve any of the pressure previously pushing on the organs, and any previous symptoms should be relieved. For many, this surgery will never be needed, but for the most severe cases, this is the most common. There are also many other different ways to do the corrective surgery, and for some, there is no options.
Have you visited any specialists about your disease?
Well, first when I figured out that I had scoliosis, I was actually at the school getting my physical done, and they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, your back is like really crooked. So my mom took me to a pediatric orthopedic, and they were like, yeah, you have scoliosis and you're gonna need a brace. And so then I went to the person that makes the brace, and yeah, that's basically.
Have you visited an orthopedic surgeon?
No, not yet, and hopefully I don't have to. That's basically when your back is at 45 degrees when you need surgery, so yeah. As I said before, I have a brace that basically helps keep my back straight, so when I'm wearing it, my curve doesn't get worse. And also things that help are like stretching, so I try to stretch as much as I can to gain some muscles in my back and stuff like that. So.
Is it uncomfortable?
Actually, when you first put it on, it feels really good because you could actually feel your spine like straightening out, which sounds pretty crazy, but it does feel really good. But after a few hours, it does get pretty uncomfortable. It'll start digging into your back, and I just have to take it off because, yeah.
When do you have to wear it?
The doctors say to wear it like as much as you can during the day, at night. But it's hard wearing it during the day because I have school and I have dance, and so I wear it at night, but obviously that's not what I'm supposed to do.
What triggers your symptoms?
Well, if I don't wear my brace for a really, really long time, my back will start to become really sore and like achy.
That's an understatement.
I guess, but and if I'm slouching, that will cause it to become achy too, or if I'm standing for a long time, it'll become really painful. So.
Tracy, do you have any memories of when scoliosis took its toll and what you guys were doing?
Yeah, one time we were at an ASU football game and we were standing up for a while, and like her back started hurting, but we had nowhere to sit.
Good story.
Let scoliosis hold you back from anything?
No, not at all. I try to do as much as I can, and it doesn't really affect me. I mean, it'll hurt sometimes, but I try to get past that and carry on.
Sports?
I do dance, and I love dancing. I really like that. I used to do gymnastics and cheer and all that kind of stuff, but I dance right now.
June is Scoliosis Awareness Month and was created to spread the word on the condition and let people who suffer from scoliosis know they are not alone. Although people with scoliosis may be bent, they are never broken.
What would you say to people who overlook scoliosis?
Well, there are a lot worse things, and I'm grateful that I'm pretty much healthy, but it does limit you if you let it limit you. I try to live and let it not affect me.